Welcome back. Well, yesterday we started talking about where we're going to find stuff to sell, given the fact that our thrift stores are not open, our antique malls are not open. Even if they were open, most of us are on lockdown. We're not allowed to leave our houses, etc., etc. Bad time for resellers. But there are other ways we can find stuff. And we started talking about, going through our hoards. And we've all got it. Little mini hoard, big out of control hoard. A hoard by any other name still takes up just as much space, doesn't it? Well, we're going to talk about that when we come back. So how are we going to manage the hoard? Well, for a lot of us, this sort of enforced indoor time makes it not only possible to do a little extra cleaning, but advantageous. Because if you spend enough time within the four walls, you start to notice things that maybe you didn't notice before, things that are a little cluttered, or the spaces are getting a little tight, or there's a little, it's just a little too much stuff. For me, the whole little too much stuff is usually wrapped up in dust bunnies. That's one of the things that I tend to accumulate. So how do we deal with this? Well, I have some really serious suggestions. And that is because a number of years ago, long before the internet, when you really had to do research on topics like this, I researched effective methods of house cleaning and organization. From what I told you yesterday, that my childhood was kind of scarred by a hoarding mother. And consequently, I became very fearful of turning into a hoarder myself. And I would go through periods of just throwing everything out. I just gone, because I was responding improperly to that fear of becoming a hoarder. But I'm a little more sensible about it these days. So I thought I would talk about some of the things that have worked for me and might work for you. I have a 6-month $10 rule. Now, I got this 40-some years ago from a professional cleaner, someone who ran cleaning services. So this isn't my own. This is something I borrowed from somebody else. If it costs less than $10 and you haven't used it in 6 months, goodbye. And actually, that works wonders. Now, I have modified that. He didn't modify it. I did. This part is my addition. I allow myself 3 general categories that are exempt from this. One is books. I've got a lot of books that I paid less than $10 for. I've read them. They're in my bookcase. I probably have not read them within the last 6 months, but one of these days I'm going to want them. They're going to be here. And I've always kind of treated books as special anyway, because, it's not about the book, it's about the information. The other thing, because I allow myself 3, I'm only using 2. The other is tools. Those of you who are accustomed to power tools know this, because it's happened to all of us. You need a router bit. You want a certain profile for a little ledge or a shelf. You know what you want, and it'll take you like 3-4 months to find that router bit, and it's this big and it costs $7. That's not getting thrown away. I don't care. I went through too much to get that, and it's only this big. And besides, What if I ever need to match up that shelf profile again? I'm going to need that router bit. So for me, my two exempt categories are books and tools. And you might have other exempt categories. I worked with a woman once who was a scarf freak. She had scarves for every holiday. Valentine's Day, she had scarves with hearts and flowers on it. And St. Patrick's Day, she had the shamrocks, and Easter, and she had chicks and eggs. And this woman was just known for her scarves. And most of them were less than $10, but they were sort of her. That was the statement piece. You always knew when she was coming because there was that scarf blowing in the breeze. Everybody has their own. So 6 months, $10. Go ahead and take your own 3 categories, whatever they may be, whatever your particular interest is, and just sequester those items and say, no, doesn't apply. And this actually works better than some of the other theories I've heard. One of them is like, if it doesn't bring joy to your life, throw it away. Like, I can't do that. My potato peeler does not bring joy to my life. Not even close. It's a good potato peeler. Don't get me wrong. I would never hurt its feelings, but it's a potato peeler, for heaven's sake. It's not like my nutmeg grater, which really does bring joy to my life. If I throw that potato peeler away, I have to buy a new one. And why would I buy a new one? I've got a perfectly decent potato peeler. My life is full of stuff that does not bring me joy, but I have to deal with it anyway. All kinds of things that are just there because they serve a purpose, just interesting, functional pieces. I like them, but I don't love them. I didn't spend hours or days or weeks or months looking for that potato peeler. I just went into a store, saw a bunch of them, and got the one I liked the best. And I think for most of us, we have large amounts of our general household inventory that bring us joy. Heavens no, but you got to have that vacuum cleaner. How are you going to pick up the dust bunnies without a vacuum cleaner? Does it have to bring you joy? No. It just has to do its job. So that's one of the things that I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. And I know a lot of people who their decorating style is not especially personal. They'll go out to a department store and just grab some prints and say, well, I'm putting this on my wall. Why? Well, because it matches the sofa. It's not because they like the artist. It's not even because they like the design. It's because the sofa is red and white and the print is red and white. A lot of people do that. There's nothing wrong with their homes. I mean, these are nice homes. They're not personal, you don't see a lot of personal touches in homes like that. But hey, that's what these people are doing. I like to believe it's just a question of they haven't found their own voice yet. Maybe they will. But those are people who live with stuff that does not bring them joy. The sofa was on sale. It was the one that converted into a queen size, sleepover bed because the brother-in-law comes a lot. They made their choices out of practicality or necessity, not out of some sense of aesthetic self-expression. And that's okay. That is absolutely okay. We don't all have to live in art museums. That's just, for some of us, we can't live without the art museum. For some of us, getting a good price on that sofa bed is a lot more important. So, no judgments. But by the same token, you can't look at someone like that and say, well, if it doesn't give you joy, pitch it out, because nothing in their environment gives them joy. As I say, my hope is eventually they'll find something that does, and that'll just spark this whole creative renaissance in their lives, But for now, print matches the sofa. So I find that the 6-month $10 rule works better. Now, when I am cleaning in general, either I'm trying to downsize, just get rid of clutter, or just get rid of dust bunnies, just whatever the goal of the cleaning is, I find the easiest way is to start in my bedroom. Because that has two benefits. One, my bedroom is the least likely place in the entire house to have a lot of stuff or stuff that doesn't belong there. It's just the stuff that's in there. There's very little stuff in there, actually. A couple of lamps and some stuff on the dresser. That's about it. So it's very easy to clean. And it gives me a sense of accomplishment when it's clean. It's like, oh yeah, look, I got it clean. And because it wasn't a stressful, difficult experience, I got that little notch there, got one room down, X number of rooms to go, gives me the confidence to move to the next one. And again, that's not my theory. That was from a psychologist, I want to say Trinity College in Hartford, but I'm not sure. But it was a psychologist who had done research on cleaning back in the 60s and 70s. Loads of people were coming out of colleges with degrees in psychology and sociology, and they all needed thesis and dissertation topics and so on. And cleaning was one of them. Frankly, I think most of them they were at the absolute limit when it came to finding something new to write about. There was a lot of research done on cleaning, which is interesting because in general, household cleaning was something that was not really studied. And I know you're probably thinking, but wait, Sue, they had all those home economics programs in colleges, those many years ago, 30s, 40s, 50s, when that was an appropriate discipline for a woman to go into if she was just killing time till she got married, I guess. Yeah, but there was nothing really scientific about it. People would just say, well, we take the broom and we sweep because it was considered intuitive. It wasn't really until the late 60s, early 70s that people started looking at the science of it, and they started considering other issues related to cleaning, like how does this impact people in the household with allergies and sensitivities, because they were starting to realize dust and asthmatic children are a bad mix. So that's when we had a lot of research going on. And frankly, that's when I was doing my own research simply by grabbing other people's research. In other words, somebody came up with a paper on cleaning and I was down at the college library reading it, or in a library, because frankly, that was the internet in those days. It's just, that was the dinosaur version of the internet. We had libraries. We'd have to go research stuff with books you would open up and read with pages. Tell your grandchildren about that, they won't believe you. So that's where I get most of this from, and it's relatively old information, but it hasn't changed much. So if you want a sense of satisfaction, start with a room that you can clean quickly and easily. The way you clean the room, and we're doing this with an eye toward removing stuff, is you create piles. For our purposes, because we're looking at reselling, basically, if you can make some money on the stuff you're moving out of these rooms, fabulous. So when you start putting your piles of stuff together, look at the stuff that you can resell. The stuff that has a value, it's maybe vintage or interesting, or you bought it after all. Somebody else might want it too. But reselling. There are other things that you might not want to resell, or the market is limited. For example, the birthday cards that your kids gave you over the years, and they're all drawn with crayon and so on. And actually, believe it or not, there really is a market for that in some quarters, but we're not going to sell the kids birthday cards. So you take a look at that, and then you've got a couple of choices. It can go into a pile of things you plan to give to the children. Here, do you want the card you made mommy when you were 6? Or projects. Because you can take a whole shoebox full of cards, turn it into a collage, get it framed, put it up on the wall, and suddenly, instead of the shoebox, you got something that's up on the wall that's actually serving a purpose. So we've got the resell and the either giveaway or projects, the donation pile, and that's anything that is worthwhile, not trash. Don't use the thrift stores as your means of getting rid of garbage. Just take an honest look at it and say, this will sell or this won't sell, and set it aside for donations. And then your throwaway pile, and that's for things that won't sell at all, things that are badly used, badly worn, damaged. Just get rid of it. And that's how you start. Now, when I talk about doing my bedroom, you notice I didn't say anything about the closet or the dresser drawers. There's a reason for that. I do closets and dresser drawers separately. If I had to consider going in and cleaning my bedroom and cleaning out the dresser drawers and cleaning out the closet, I would just say, no, I don't think I'm going to clean my bedroom today, and just walk off. Because the closets and the dresser drawers are an undertaking. They really are. So that's going to be saved for a later date. And besides, if you close the closet door, close the dresser drawers, your bedroom is all nice and clean. It looks good. And you have effectively hidden the stuff away. So out of sight, out of mind, at least for the moment. And then go move on to another room. A bathroom, a hallway. Hallways count as rooms in this. And just keep moving through your house until you eventually get to the kitchen, which is usually the most difficult room. For me, as you know, that right now is where my online sales inventory is living right now. And so that's a little problematic for me. I got to work my way up to that. But by the time I'm ready to go after the kitchen, I will have 4 or 5 rooms already under my belt. I will be feeling pretty gosh darn good about myself and my ability to get a handle on this mess, and I'll be ready to tackle it. I will have already gotten my keep and discard and goodwill and, giving to whomever, project pile. I'll just call it a project pile. I will have already gotten pretty good at figuring out what goes where. And so by the time I'm ready to move into the kitchen, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to have enough success under my belt so that I will not be feeling intimidated, no matter how bad it gets. Now, also keep in mind that small cleanings count. They really do. If all you can do, and I know a lot of you have health issues, I read your comments. I know some of you can barely walk. Some of you have COPD. You can work for 5 minutes. You're going to need to take a break. I get that. Cleaning and organizing can be done in 5 or 10 minute snatches. If what you can do is go in to the bedroom with a box and clean everything off the dresser, stick it in the box, and bring it into the dining room, set it on the table, and say, I will go through that later. Hey, That's a big deal. Don't sell yourself short. Don't say, well, that's all I can do. Just flip that on its head. Not that's all I can do, but look what I did. So keep in mind that your ability to do this sort of work is going to vary from one of us to another. I'm sure there are a lot of you who are sitting back saying, but Sue, you're going to be able to do this or that. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, geez, if I could see, I'd know where those dust bunnies are. I could just go right after them. We've all got our strengths. We've all got our limitations. So just don't get down on yourself for yours. If you can work in 5-minute snatches, do not get down on yourself for that. Do not say, oh, this is all I can do. Right? And remember, when you're through with the bedroom, you're going to move on to another room, and you're going to have these accomplishments, and they're going to be stacking up. So I figure by the time you are through with your first 2 or 3 rooms, whatever rooms you choose, you are probably going to have at least 3 or 4 items to put into your reselling inventory. For some of us, and it depends upon how much stuff you keep in the bathroom, for some of us, it could be a much higher amount. It could be, 7, 8 pieces. It could be 24 pieces. Some of us do, in fact, keep large collections of stuff in our bedrooms. I just don't happen to do that. I don't know why, but I don't. My bedroom's pretty Spartan, and that's why I start there. You might have a different room. For you, it might be the guest room. That might be something that, you always try to keep nice and clean and tidy in case unexpected guests show up. Start with that one and take a good hard look at whatever is in there that you can take out and resell. Do not forget things like clothing, bedding, linens, because clothing, bedding, linens, things like this are, just because this is something that I'm usually not dealing with when I go out thrifting, does not mean there's not a market for it. Some people do very well in those categories. They make a great deal of money, with used clothing, used shoes, just all kinds of things like that. So just because you're not seeing that as something that I do doesn't mean you should overlook this. If you go into your bedroom, you start cleaning, and you say to yourself, I am not in love with that bedspread, grab that thing, throw it in the washing machine, get it all cleaned up and pretty, take some pictures and list it online, and take the money and buy yourself something you do like. So that's how we get started. Now that we've gotten started, I do want to talk to you about this. This is a piece made by Randy Romines, and I've spoken to you about these. These pieces were made from the broken bits of rose medallion china from the schoolhouse. The pieces that were just basically shattered. They were damaged beyond the point of salvage. So Randy has, in fact, repurposed them. And she made this little necklace with it too, which is here fully adjustable. This is going to be our next giveaway piece. This is such a sweet thing. So if you want a chance at the necklace, in the comments, just write, thank you, Randy, R-A-N-D-Y. I will make sure that the Photobomb Kitty leaves you a little note on how to do it, because, of course, he will be picking winners. Here is our piece, and it's lovely, and she's made a lot of them. She just took that broken china and went to town, bless her heart. So we're going to get something positive. This is ultimately, you got lemons, here's the lemonade. She salvaged some sentiment and made beautiful pieces out of broken china. All right. So remember, thank you, Randy. And Karen Hopper's beautiful Watchface bracelet. Our winner on that was Melissa W. Melissa, I need to hear from you so I can get your bracelet to you. And remember, if you enter any of these contests, please show up again like the following week when we start picking winners, just so you'll know if your name's been picked. And that will make life very easy on me, because then I can get your package out to you in a timely fashion. Okay, everybody, stay safe, stay sane. I think maybe that's what we'll talk about tomorrow. In my area, people are going a little COVID-19 crazy. I think I'm going to end up snapping some pictures of some of the insanity for you. Whoa, hard to believe. All right, I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great day. Remember, thank you, Randy. And Photobomb Kitty will pick names next week.